All right, so Jared, you
I don't mean to interrupt already, but the light coming on the trees right there, that is just like, give me a second. That's the kind of stuff that I like taking. Like, I take pictures of the dumbest stuff.
no, that's I mean with the blue sky behind it and the green, it's like very contrasting.
Yeah, my whole thing is just like when it's like interesting textures or lights.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff that I love taking pictures of. And then I show them to my family and they're like, what is this?
That's the greatest, right?
Yeah, I remember like in 2013, we went on a trip to the Smoky Mountains and I took, like 1,200 pictures or something like that. Edited them and then showed them to my family and they were so disappointed because there's like hardly any of them. They were like, there's like why did you take a picture of a cigarette butt on the ground?
It's art.
I'm like, because the contrast of it like against the dark concrete, like it stood out and I found it interesting. They're like, what is this?
I'll get it.
They're like, you take a lot of these artsy fartsy pictures, Jared. You don't take any like family photos.
Well, yeah.
But then this year I felt like it's been the opposite, where I feel like I've taken a lot of family photos and then not a lot of just like, for art's sake.
I met up with Jared Thornton of Shoreline Media at Cedar Point here in Sandusky, Ohio. I spent the day getting a glimpse into the creative process and workflow of how Jared typically worked. It was a different experience for me at Cedar Point, having to really slow down and look for the unique and creative angles of the park. Jared was continuing his work on a photo book of the park, as well as capturing fun images for his Cedarpointless page he and his brother run. We got to sit down later that day and talk about photography, design, and all things creative. Here's some of that conversation.
So Jared,
Yeah,
you own and operate multiple
too many.
companies.
Yeah,
Photography, video,
too many hats.
graphic design, is that
Yeah,
web design?
yeah,
Okay, so a lot of media stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of non-media stuff.
And a lot of non-media stuff. But yeah, so One Up Photography is your wedding.
One Up Creative, yeah.
One Up Creative. Okay. And then you have Shoreline Media.
Correct. And Shoreline is basically everything but weddings.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But primarily focused on commercial video and web and graphic design,
Nice.
which is where the majority of my work has been. Well, at least the majority of my income has been.
Okay.
I wouldn't say the work because there's so much work that like is not things that you make money off of.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
But we're here at Cedar Point
Yeah.
today.
A fun day. A little
yes.
sunburnt.
Yeah, a
Little
little
tan.
sunburn. Probably should have filmed this before I got like all burnt, toasted and crispy.
You'll have to bring the reds down in post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it so desaturated? Oh, it's I'm glowing.
There's no red.
But we're here at Cedar Point because we are photographing some
Everything.
stuff in the park.
Yeah.
Posters.
Photograph in the park.
Even like small little nook that we're in. I don't know if you see the Skyhawks behind us.
Yep.
We're kind of in Frontier Town. But we're photographing and you're putting together a book,
I am.
right? And this is for, is it anybody or is it like poster enthusiasts or anyone who wants to buy it?
Yeah. I think people who are amusement park enthusiasts will find it interesting. I think that's probably the primary demographic. Especially being Cedar Point. You know, if it was like some random little Six Flags park, people probably wouldn't find it nearly as interesting. But since Cedar Point is kind of like the mecca for people who like roller coasters,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who just like Cedar Point in general because of that. Like when you think of like the hierarchy of amusement parks, Cedar Point consistently is like just below like Disney and Universal. It's like you got like Six Flags, like some of the Six Flags parks and some of the Cedar Fair parks. And Cedar Point always is like in the upper echelon of the Cedar Fair parks.
Yeah.
So I think that's the initial demographic. I also really want to target people who have like Airbnbs in the area, coffee table books.
Yeah.
You know, people who are like, those people are targeting the tourist demographic. So they come here for Cedar Point and there's a coffee table book for them to look through. Like
Pictures of the area and
Yes.
of the park. Cool.
not for any particular purpose, just because I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
It gives me a thing to do.
Yeah, we can get some different perspective of photos, and everyone walks around with a camera phone, you know, and they're just snapping pictures of
Yeah.
random stuff, but you kind of see a different perspective. I know we were walking around earlier and we kind of found different areas kind of tucked away,
Yes.
and even like different perspectives from the coasters that maybe as you're walking by you don't normally see.
Yeah, I mean, even where we're sitting right now, like this is there's nobody around here. It's like a little corner with a bunch of picnic tables that like, there's nobody near us. So clearly nobody comes back here and there's photo opportunities everywhere you look.
Yeah.
And so I think I want to focus on not just like the angles that people know about, but finding some of those little tiny spots that provide an interesting composition that I think people aren't looking for.
Yeah, that's awesome. So today, when you're photographing, looking for those different like spots and little nooks and little fun areas, was there like a certain technique or something that you're like trying to do for the book, or is it just the different perspectives and then the method to get there changes, or is it like
Yes.
it's a certain way
Yes.
that you're getting there?
No, there's no certain way that I'm getting there. Really, my main thing that I wanted to do was just push myself a little bit more than I normally would. Like I come to the park all the time. I'm here a couple times a week, really. So it's not uncommon for me to be here, and I normally have a camera. I don't know if we should wait for the train to pass or... It's not uncommon for me to have a camera with me, but for me today, the goal was to like, when I come through the park normally, I'm with my family.
Yeah.
And so we traverse the same spots every time we come. And so I see the same angles a lot, and I don't really veer off the path. And so today the whole point was like, veer off the path and actually look just with intent for angles of interesting things.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's roller coasters, but like most of it's, I mean, not all of it's roller coasters. A lot of stuff we shot that's not roller coasters,
Right.
which is important to me because I don't want, it's not just a roller coaster book. It's a Cedar Point book.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And people like to just focus on the roller coasters. I mean, if you go on like amusement park Instagram, it's all roller coasters. It's all anybody talks about is roller coasters, and I want to break away from that narrative. Because me personally, I don't care that much about roller coasters. Which is probably like, I think that provides me a fresh take than what a lot of other people are doing, because so many other people just care about roller coasters, and like that's the thing that people like. So yeah, it's not like, roller coasters obviously are a huge part of the park. They're a huge part of why Cedar Point has such a name, but
It's not all that's here.
it's not all that's here.
Yeah.
So I want the book to speak to the park as a whole and not just the things that people care about.
Yeah. Not the high octane adrenaline.
Yeah.
Because even like you said, coming here with your family, you're not riding a lot of roller coasters. So
No.
there's the rest of the park to enjoy. So.
Yep.
Okay. So, what kind of cameras are you using? Or what do you normally use? I have a lot of cameras. It's a loaded question.
I do have a lot of cameras. I don't want to say eclectic. I'm not eclectic. But I am a
Collector.
bit of a collector in a way that I don't really seek like, I mean, I have a lot of newer cameras, but I don't care that much about specs. Like, it's an interesting perspective because I care about specs in that, like, I know them,
Yeah.
but I don't care so much that, like, I feel like I have to have the newest camera. And so I'll sit a year or two or a generation or two behind. Today I brought A7R4 and a GH6, which, hello. I brought the GH6 because I bought that last year. I bought 3 of those last year because a lot of reviewers panned it. And then when I was looking for a camera, I was considering something like a cinema camera, something a little, and then I really started thinking about the kind of shooting that I do. And it really came down between like the FX30 and the GH6. And I ultimately went with the GH6 because I just really, really hate the FX3 and FX30's control system. I can't stand it, which is so funny because like I shoot Sony here, but then for my video camera, I can't stand Sony's controls. It's a little goofy, I get it, but like I ended up going with the GH6 almost exclusively for that purpose. And then for the A7R4, I used to have an A7R2, and then you were there. I dropped it, and the screen broke. And so I used it with a broken screen for a while, but then when it came time to replace it, I was between the A7R3 and the A7R4. And I ultimately went with the A7R4 purely because it's got a 61 megapixel sensor. And when you shoot in crop mode, you can still get 24 megapixel crops out of the sensor. And I shoot in crop a lot because I shoot primes a lot.
Yeah.
And so I can shoot primes, carry a handful of, I can carry a 20 mil and a 55. And between that, I can get a 20, a 30, a 55, and an 85.
Your range doubles.
Your range doubles
Yeah.
just by being able to shoot crop.
And you're not losing a whole lot of, you still get 24 megapixels.
I still get 24 megapixels, and that's enough to print a 20 by 30 print, which is about the largest that I print.
Yeah.
So that was the ultimate reason that I went with the A7R4 was just megapixels, which is, for most people, I think it doesn't matter. But for my shooting style, shooting crop a lot, that was the main driver for me. And that's why if I didn't shoot crop, I could have just got the A7R3 and I'd still be very happy with it. But the A7R4, just being able to crop in is the main reason that I got it. And now they have the A7R5 and I have no real need to upgrade to it because I'm like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows when the next time I'll upgrade.
I think it's easy, I think, as photographers to like want the latest and greatest sometimes.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of hype around like you need this because it'll make you shoot better. And that's not
It won't.
really the case.
It won't.
It might help you in a situation that's maybe
Yeah.
very specific. Or I'm always in the camp of like, give me a potato and I will take a good picture. Like literally, I will somehow make a potato take a picture, and it'll still be good. Yeah, you don't necessarily need the latest and greatest because it's all about the artistic eye and
Yeah.
it's the story you're telling with the frame, right? It's not just the pixel peeping, the megapixels, how far you can zoom in and all the things. So,
And I think the same applies with cameras. It's really finding the camera that just enables you to get out of your own way and mastering that one tool. There's no like, you're not gonna go out and buy a camera and that's gonna be the magic bullet that like makes you a good photographer. It's just getting really good. And that's why I think I own all kinds of brands of cameras, but like I've gotten to the point where I've slowed down because I'm like, I could like get into Fuji, I could get into Nikon, but I'm so comfortable now shooting Sony that
yeah.
I'm kind of getting to that point where like it gets out of its own way. And I think that's the same thing with the GH6 for me. It was like the FX30, FX3, while they create beautiful images, the camera gets in the way so much for me that I like the Panasonics so much better just because I'm so confident with how to use them.
You don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out the technical side of the camera and fumbling through menus.
Yes.
When photography as a whole we're finding and documenting light. Like you want to be able to see the light
Yeah.
and capture it and not have to worry about like, okay, I got to
Yeah.
figure out, get the manual out and all that stuff. So Yeah. So how long have you been a photographer? I mean, you seem very knowledgeable in all
A
the
long time.
all the things.
I'm almost 29. I'm about to be 29 this month.
We'll censor that out.
Yeah.
Almost.
I started photography when I was 14. Really more like, yeah, probably 14. 13 or 14. So, what's the math on that? 16 years?
Sure.
Close. 16 years or close,
photographer, I'm
darn
not-
close to it.
I don't do that.
16 years are darn close to it. So a very long time. It's funny looking back at stuff like that because I'm like, I started doing photography about the same time my wife and I started dating.
Mm.
So
Is that what got her? Was your photography?
absolutely not. I don't know what it was. I'm tall. That's what it was. It was because I was tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walking around.
We continued our tour of the park, stopping at interesting and photographically fun spots along the way.
Aren't you so-and-so from TikTok or whatever? Aren't you
Hey, aren't you that guy from Cedarpointless?
One of the coasters we stopped at was Steel Vengeance, which provided many opportunities to photograph in new perspectives and compositions.
Right, we're at the Steel Vengeance area. You have a 7200. Looks very familiar to one I have.
I wonder why.
Sigma 7200. So you're shooting telephoto into like a curve.
Right now I'm getting the top of the hill.
Nice. How's it look? Or you got some sun peeking in there?
Get a little bit of that sun peeking through, which I think in the edit, I want to amplify that a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe blow it out of proportion a little.
Nice. Wobble, wobble. All the wobble.
We ended the evening up along the boardwalk, experimenting with long exposures and light painting, which yielded some really fun results.
All right, day of filming, day of shooting. We got all kinds of stuff. We're leaving the park. It is closing time. And are we going this way? Yeah. All right, so I'm thoroughly burnt and tired. It was a long day shooting. We traversed the park, but yet we only scratched the surface. We were here all day. Be sure to check out Jared, all of his pages. I'll put somewhere.
I spent this whole time trying to get my mic to turn on, and you're just gonna close it out without.
You can hear him in the background from my mic.
Can't get the mic turned on.
Oh man. You've been muted. All right, catch you guys later.